Now, we're going to take you to my prospective guest on the programme. And if you're talking big, bold, dramatic works of art, my guest on the programme today has provided many of them. Ailbhe Ní Bhriain works with all sorts of materials, including in her latest work from silk, cotton, wool and lurex to create, as she puts it, an emblem of industry, empire and permanence. Her work, Interval 4, is on display from tonight, in fact, at the Irish Cultural Centre here in Paris. And as well, she has another exhibition of her work as well at another gallery at the same time. I'm not going to try and pronounce the other gallery because it's difficult to pronounce. We'll get you to do that in just a moment. But first of all, tell us about the latest work, Interval 4. This is what's going on display at the Irish Cultural Centre. You've got the opening of the exhibition tonight, I gather.
Yes. And the title of the exhibition is Interval 4 at the Cultural Centre, and it shares the title of, I guess, the focal piece in the exhibition, which is this very large, almost cinematically scaled jacquard tapestry. This is also the fourth exhibition in a kind of an evolving series of solo shows where I'm exploring, it's an ongoing body of work called the Dream Pool Intervals. So in different iterations, it's kind of taken the form of sculpture and installation and tapestry and print. But yeah, this is the Paris edition, and the centerpiece really is this tapestry called Interval 4.
Yeah, I'm getting a kind of Victorian vibe looking at it, an historical vibe as well. I mean, is that very much part of your work?
Yeah, that's completely accurate. I think the starting point for this piece, and which belongs to a series of 8 very large-scale tapestries, they all share a kind of starting point in looking at Victorian-era photographic portraits. And I'm interested in those not so much for the individuals, but for the kind of ideologies of imperialism that they're so inscribed with. So that becomes the starting point. But I work with collage to draw lots of disparate strands together. So those photographs are being joined by images of buildings, contemporary buildings destroyed by war and climate disaster, and then also these photographs of underground, ancient, subterranean spaces. So you have these, like you said, these kind of emblems of empire and permanence of the photographs being disrupted by the kind of contemporary ruination, the kind of scar of that Victorian ambition, and then also this kind of deep time of geology, which is also undermining ideas of permanence or dominance.
Okay, it's a fascinating concept. Let's have a look at your other work as well. You've got this other exhibition, which is already open at the, I'm going to try and say it, the Andréhn Schiptjenko Gallery. I hope I've sort of got that right. Tell us about this, what you've put on display there.
Yeah, this is essentially an exhibition. They're very much compatible. The two shows were planned together, and while the exhibition at the Cultural Centre is kind of more theatrical in its staging, there is a larger variety of works in Andréhn Schiptjenko Gallery. So this is essentially a show of portraits and landscapes, again working with found archival imagery as a starting point. But yeah, I guess I kind of took the most familiar and archetypal categories of representation as my starting point to play with this body of work. So it's a series of large-scale jacquard tapestries and then printed works, which all have kind of material interventions. So all of them are kind of playing with the fixed narrative of the image and trying to disrupt it or complicate it in some way.
You like a lot of scale, don't you? I can tell. I mean, a lot of them are very large scale. Is that something you enjoy doing particularly?
I think I worked for years and still do with film. So the staging of film and multi-screen film and that kind of immersion that you get from scale is something that, yeah, I'm definitely fond of. I love how it can kind of pull the viewer in to a kind of a current of strangeness and hold them there. But then at Andréhn Schiptjenko, there are also some very, very small works. So I think I kind of like to sometimes punctuate a show with, there can be a huge intensity that comes from something miniature as well. Yeah. So sometimes I do play with scale to try and create those contrasts within a kind of viewing experience.
Well, we can have a look at some of your other works as well, while I ask you as well, some of your previous works as well. Where you get the bug from? What is it that, I mean, is it something that's been with you since you were a child, or?
Oh, I've kind of been doing it since I was 17 years old. And definitely my experience of art college when I began at 17 was the feeling of kind of going back to childhood and just being in this space of play. And I think when you start a new body of work, even though the themes of my work are completely consistent, you continually begin again. And there is a kind of an addiction for me with image making, and just a fascination with representation and how it intersects with technology and politics. I think it gives a way in to look at kind of very contested and fraught ideas, or some of the kind of unease or disorientation of the contemporary moment, and to work it out with a kind of complexity with imagery that just takes you away from some of the kind of false binaries that discourse gets kind of, you know, stranded in at the moment. So yeah, for me, it's just, it's always exciting to start poking at an image.
Yeah. And you've taken your work right across the world, really. I mean, Ireland, obviously, in your home country, but the UK, US, now here in Paris as well. What's it like kind of spreading your wings out amongst so many different places, if you like?
I mean, it's amazing. I think every opportunity to show is a way to reimagine your work. Every space comes with different challenges and different invitations, and also, you know, the opportunities to work with different people. I've just had an amazing, very intense week and a half here of installing 2 shows, and it's just a joy. It really is, to kind of even have kind of different technical teams there to support you, and curators that come with different ideas. Yeah, it's a total privilege and something I really enjoy.
And presumably while you're doing it, you're very much thinking about the people who are going to come and see it as well. I mean, what do you think people will get out of visiting either of the exhibitions?
I think that there is a very strong material presence from the tapestries that doesn't really come across through digital documentation. I think it is an encounter that happens in the flesh, and we've really tried to make the spaces very much an invitation. I do believe in kind of seducing an audience. I don't think that you should make someone work too hard in the beginning. So I think it's like you pull someone in through a lot of, you know, visual and material richness, and then almost like you let the strangeness leak out of those images and maybe create a slightly more complex or uncomfortable space. So I'm always playing with that.
I like the sound of that. You'll be seduced. There you go. You've been told if you go and see the exhibitions. Great to have you with us on the programme today.
Thank you very much.
2 exhibitions then. Andréhn Schiptjenko Gallery is already open, and Irish Cultural Centre this evening. So do, if you happen to be in Paris, go along to the Irish Cultural Centre to have a look at that as well. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme today. Ailbhe Ní Bhriain, thanks.
Thank you.